Hey, what's up, fam? I did a bad thing, and if you stick around, I'm gonna tell you exactly what that is.
Cause just as sure as the sun gives way to the moon, just as sure as the gray gives way to the blue, I'm gonna ride to the heavens child inside my groove.
Hey, what's up, my friend? Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, go on and hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you know when the next video comes out. Real quick, I want to let you know that I just completed a book. It's out now in the it's on iBooks in the Apple Store, so I'll leave a link to that below. It's my experiences kind of condensed into a book that'll help you find gigs, keep gigs, and be the kind of bass player that people want to hire over and over and over again. And I think that's all I have for call to action. So here's the bad thing that I did yesterday. Today is Monday, 2/24/19. I posted in the No Trouble Facebook group. I'm gonna read it to you, and I'm gonna also link to that as well. And I want to share this post with you, and then I want to kind of get into my, the spirit behind the post and all that. People have different opinions on this subject, and that's great. I did preface the post kind of towards people who wanted to do a certain thing or whatever, but one guy like trolled me for most of the day yesterday, which I thought was kind of funny, but it's so close to my heart that I want to share it with you. So here it is. This is what I wrote. If your goal is to be a working bassist, there is no excuse for not learning to read. A tiny soapbox here, but it's always a bummer to have to pass up a great person and player for a sub opportunity because they can't read. And a lot of the time the reading is the most basic stuff, but it's still got to be read, conduct, and the conductor has to be followed. That's the short part of the post. And so the rest of the kind of just of the rest of the post is what I'm going to get into now. So my story is this, and I want to make this is just like the post the video I made about music theory. You know as much as you need to know for what you want to do, right? So for me, I've been playing bass since I was 13. I grew up in New Orleans, played most of my adolescence through high school, and then even though I was working jobs and stuff like that in my early adult life, I was still playing bass, and I really had a desire. I was playing a lot of bands, did some touring. I was doing videos that were played on VH1. I was opening for a lot of big bands. I was doing a lot of stuff, and I knew that I wanted to play bass for the rest of my life. I knew that I wanted to be involved in music for the rest of my life. So that right there is going to show you kind of the stand. If you're a hobby player and you're just like, I just want to play my records with my friends, and I just want to, man, that this doesn't apply to you. You dig what I'm saying? So, and I don't make any judgment whatsoever towards those people, but I can only share my story, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. So, for me, what happened was, I'm working, semi-professionally as a bass player. Still had a day job or whatever. Wanted to do more, and I could see the writing on the wall that unless I developed additional skills, one of them being the ability to read charts, to read standard notation, to read Nashville numbering. If I didn't get those tools under my belt, I wasn't going to have as much longevity as I wanted in music. And here's the deal. I'm a bread and butter kind of bass player. I play the heck out some parts, you know what I mean? But I'm not a flashy player. I'm not a I'm not a fingerboard whiz doing all this stuff. I'm a bread and butter kind of bass dude. So I didn't have, and I'm not saying that guys that do that, that's all that's getting in through. I just know that I'll bring it to me is that, when you're young and cocky like I was, you know what I mean? It comes a time when you realize, look, man, I'm not going to be able to get by on this forever. You know what I'm saying? You're only young and cute like I was. All right. So you only have those. I'm kidding, but you only have those things to get by on for so long, and then at a certain point, people start calling BS. That was my experience. So one of the first things that hit me in the face is I had been called to do a gig, and it was a lot of tunes, a lot of songs, and there were charts for every one of them. So some of you guys I already know have the experience of having to learn a lot of tunes in a short amount of time. So here I am, I got like a week, and they've sent me charts, a lot of charts, but I can't read them. So I'm trying to get by on all this street knowledge that I've picked up. Now I can play, you know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to use this stuff that I've had in my bag for so long, and trying to memorize all these tunes. It was impossible. So I get to the rehearsal, and it becomes obvious to the MD, who was the guitar player, that I couldn't read. And he was a pretty arrogant dude, you know what I'm saying? And he said to me, he said, "You can't read, can you?" And I was like, nah, not really. And his response to me was, "The great ones never do." And that was straight sarcasm, and I felt the sarcasm. And so it really stung, and I was like, you know what? I'm at the time, especially, I was too prideful to let myself be in that position again. So I said, you got to fix this. You got to fix this thing. So that led me on a journey. Like, on the heels of that, I was also playing with a singer named NyaJade, and we had a great run. We were doing a lot of great stuff, going back and forth to New York to do sound showcases and things like that. And every time when we would go to New York, she would hire cats. And these cats were cats. I mean, everybody. Oznoy was in one of the bands that she would hire. Google Oznoy. Right now, Oz is cool. Everybody was cool. There was one keyboard player though, and she, because we had a relationship and we were friends, and and I was the one that she was bringing out to New York from California. She was like, can you MD? I was in no position to MD those people. You know what I'm saying? And my deficiencies became apparent. Now, again, this is me talking as a person who has the desire to be a professional musician, not just a professional bass player, but a professional musician. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. So this journey led me to go to a junior college in California. That experience, after all that I had been through, was really humbling. I'm a grown man. I've been playing and all this stuff. I'm in school with people who are half my age, and I can't read. I had one guy who I love to death, Tyler Zupo, beautiful, beautiful dude. He's just one of the guys. Tyler Zupo, Sarah Pena, Tris Coffin is the owner of Coppertone Pedals, Tina Jupp. I mean, just all these people, young people who were helping me kind of guide me along. And there's other folks that I didn't name, but there's just a ton of them. Steve Turner. I mean, they would have to stand behind me and count measures, and it was humbling as I don't know what. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to school or anything like that. I'm gonna show you some tips. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm gonna show you some resources that I think you should look into if you want to get your reading thing together and things that you need to do. But anyway, I wound up going to, I got an AA from a community college in California. I wound up transferring to a UC, where I ultimately got a degree in music performance. But during that time, I also got, somebody asked me to do a musical. I'm scared, because getting in front of a group of people and then having a sight read and stuff like that was just always a source of real anxiety for me. But I took the opportunity. Her boyfriend at the time was a bass player, and he now subs for Hamilton. And I won't give his name because I don't know if there some legal stuff with that. But anyway, he couldn't do that gig, so I took the gig. That opportunity led to hundreds of musical theater opportunities and different things like that. But I started to interact with people that were outside of my immediate circle. And it just started leading to other opportunities. So, my point with the post was, my friend, my young friend, love him to death, and he is a monster player. Just to respect his privacy, I'm not going to add his name, but he is an absolute beast of a bass player. But the truth of the matter is that the gig doesn't call for an absolute beast of a bass player. It calls for a guy who can read. And so, and I'm also relocating. So there's a void that's going to be left that I would love to be able to pass. Now, is this going to be career defining work for him? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. But, you know, it's a skill. Being a literate musician is a skill. Speaking of opportunities and going through that whole journey allowed me to be able to go into the schools and teach. That's a whole nother skill. You know what I mean? It's a whole nother bag of tricks. And it just opened up the world of music for me, the opportunity. So anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. In that Facebook group, Steve Bailey shared a link to a video with Anthony Jackson, an interview that him and Victor Wooten did with Anthony Jackson at Berkeley, which is a great, oh man, you gotta watch it. I'm gonna link that below. Also, there's another video, if I could find it, I'm gonna link it below as well, where Marcus Miller is talking about reading, and he said something to the effect of, Louis Armstrong, Louis Armstrong couldn't read. And I'm paraphrasing here, but Marcus was like, he may not have had the access, or he didn't have the access, but I can guarantee, he was like something, I'm paraphrasing. He was something like, I can almost guarantee you that if Louis Armstrong were alive today, he wouldn't just be like, nah, I'm not going to the reading music class. You know what I mean? So here's some maybe tips and tricks that you can use for reading. Just do it, right? You just do it. Now, I would say don't go out here and feel like you have to read the most complicated stuff. Find stuff in bass clef. If you're watching this, I'm assuming you're a bass player, so find bass-specific stuff. Here's one of the first books I'll recommend. This is Reading Contemporary Electric Bass by Rich Appelman. This is a great book because it's got in it stuff that when you're asked to read standard notation, read the little dots on the page, it's got very, very bass specific stuff, and it goes in a pretty logical order of regular bass line, rhythms, walking bass, two feel, then it goes into syncopated rhythms. Section 3 is busier stuff. Section 4 is vamp. Section 5 is reading exercise. This is a great book to have in your arsenal, just to kind of keep on your stand and go through. Another book that's great. I don't have, like I said, I'm moving, so stuff is all over the place. Another book is 30 Etudes. It's the Smondel method book. It's called 30 Etudes. It is for double bass, but it's good. The stuff is written in a very musical fashion. There's no tab, there's no paint by numbers. It's look at the rhythm, find the note, and go measure by measure, note by note. That's what I did. I used to be up, early in the morning before I went to work or whatever, or before I went to class, just okay, here's a quarter note, okay? Seriously, right? And I did that in my 30s. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to impress you, but to impress upon you that once again, going back, if your goal is to be a working musician, reading is just something that you need to do. You should do it. There's no real excuse not to do it. It's super easy. So, the third book is going to be Ed Friedland's Electric Bass Method. This is also you can get one that, I'm sorry I don't have it to show you, but I'll link it below. It's very bass specific stuff, and it's a little bit easier to digest, but just do it. Just do it. It's very chronological and well thought out. Ed, in my opinion, is the godfather, is one of the godfathers of this of the real bass book thing. So anything by him is great. Theory, if you know, talk theory. One of my favorite theory books, easy to digest, is Harmony and Theory. Now, this is Musicians Institute. Great book, easily digestible. Matter of fact, when I first started teaching high school, I taught out of this book. If you want a bass-specific book, bass-specific music theory book, I cannot recommend enough Ariane Cap's Music Theory for the Bass Player. I'll also link that below. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Probably, but we won't worry about that right now. So anyway, video's getting a little bit long, 16 minutes, so I just wanted to say that, and I want to follow up with with the funny little post from No Trouble yesterday. You know, I stand behind what I said. If you are cool with, if all you want to do, like in my teaching method, when I'm teaching, especially adults, I teach a lot of adults, I don't throw theory on them. I don't throw reading on them. I throw what they need for what they want to do. You know, once again, somebody comes and say, you know, hey, I want to join this jazz band, or I want to join this, or I want to do this, or I want to be a better writer. We go a different route, okay? I have an adult student right now. He's got some reading and writing ability, so we work on grooves, and we work on writing the grooves out in standard notation. We've been having a lot of fun, a lot of success with that. So with charts, let's talk about charts for a second. When you are looking at chord charts, interestingly enough, while my friend was trolling me yesterday on Facebook, I was on a gig, making money, reading. Repertoire was not top 40. It wasn't, you know, it was straight ahead jazz and, you know, stuff that was really outside of my wheelhouse. But, you know, it was iReal Pro and the charts that the singer had brought along with her, and all the things that I kind of picked up along this journey. So my point is, and after that, the singer was like, hey, would you like to do X, Y, and Z? Case in point. Had somebody else been, you know, had my buddy been say, hey, man, I can't take this gig. You want to do this gig? My man wouldn't have been able to do the gig. He plays his face off. But that gig didn't require playing my face off. Gig required me to read and hold down the bass. So anyway, so when you chord charts, what you need to know, the least you need to know your arpeggios, right? You need to know how to read chord symbols. I'm just giving you a spitfire kind of quick thing here, but, you know, and you have to play what's stylistically appropriate for that. Now, I just want to say it one more time. If working as a bass player is not what you want to do, disregard everything I'm saying. It's like the Hodge twins say, just a suggestion. You do whatever you want to do, right? So, and I'm saying that I'm saying that lighthearted, and you know, I just want to encourage you that if you are out there, and you know, music. I'm rambling. So anyway, I'm gonna stop the video right now. I just want to let you know that my intentions are always in the best place for the advancement of the whole bass community, and anybody who wants to get better at being a bass playing musician. I'm still learning and growing and all that good stuff too. You know, a lot of ways I got my behind handed to me yesterday, just saying, but that's good too. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking around, because this is a long one. Again, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you know when the next video comes out. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video on Wednesday, Walking Bass Wednesday, when we talk about roots, thirds, and some other stuff. Peace. 2 fingers.